Hey guys, another fantastic episode up this week and is proudly presented by King Constructions. Enjoy. Welcome to Road to the Big Time, a podcast where we talk about athletes' pathways to becoming professionals. Today we're chatting to Paul Thomas. Paul was known for his footy playing career with Central Districts and Essendon. Paul, can you tell us a little bit about your pathway through your playing and coaching career to where you're at now?
Yeah, too easy. So from a playing point of view, all here in the northern suburbs, played for Elizabeth Footy Club and then just went through the development program through 13s, 14s and 15s with Centrals. I think I was an under 14s captain, and then everyone hit puberty except for me. So by under 15s I was the smallest in the group and didn't play a lot in the carnival that year, so that was a little deflating. But I had a really our under 17s coach at the time at Centrals. He sort of encouraged me when I came out to pre-season not to be too disheartened, because he probably could see some things that I was doing but my body wouldn't allow me to do it at that time, comparative to other boys who were a lot bigger and stronger than I was. So in my 16th year I played a handful of games in the under 17s, and that I guess that critical little bit of feedback and support from the coach was really important. So I knew just to stick at it. Puberty was going to hit me at some point. My dad was a late developer as well, so fingers crossed that it was going to happen. And I think by the end of my 16th year, because it used to be under 17s and 19s when I came through, by my 17th year, I'd sort of grown a bit, and the work I'd been doing around gym and aerobically sort of started to come through, and I was the captain of our under 17s in my 17th year, but only played 4 games before being elevated to the under 19s. And I went from being a midfielder to playing back pocket, which I'd never done before. And again, the coach there just saw some things that he thought I could help with and progress through my career quicker than being a midfielder at my sort of height and weight at that time. And then by the end of my 17th year playing under 19s, I got elevated to the league and reserves track for the year 2000. So what would have been my bottom year of 19s was with the league and reserves. I played all year in the reserves. We didn't lose a game except for we lost our last game of the year, and then we got knocked out in straight sets. And then I had a really good summer, and in 2001 debuted in July, I think, around about this time in 2001. So that was about 7 games, and then 2002 invited out to train with Adelaide and earned a rookie spot. That was really good learning. Rookies at the time then weren't full-time like they are now. We were sort of in and out of the club spasmodically, if you like. So I was working for Tom Zorich at his sports shop. I was a rookie. I still trained at Centrals, and I was my first year uni for teaching degree, so it was a big year 2002. Got sacked from there, didn't get another contract, just full focus at Centrals in 2003 and 4, and had really solid 2 years, and then got a call to play for Essendon at pick 60. Got sacked from there after 1 year, and then came home and ended up becoming the captain of Centrals and finishing with a handful of medals and a lot of good times.
What do you reckon, was there a point, as you were sort of coming through, that you thought you could make it and obviously the AFL and sort of get really far in it?
Yeah, I think so. I think so my dad played a lot of footy for Centrals before the Crows were the Crows, so he was in the 80s when the sample was huge, so I always thought that's what I wanted to do. It probably wasn't until I was about 17 or 18 that I thought, hang on, this AFL thing's something that I might be capable of, and unfortunately there's 1,000 people my height and size are all going for a spot, so you've got to do something reasonably well, or lots of things reasonably well to get picked. So I probably didn't really focus on it till a little bit later. My real ambition was to play in Central's first ever premiership, so didn't happen, missed out by a couple of years, but to play in 6 wasn't too bad after that.
Yeah.
What was the environment like around the club during your premiership era, like at Centrals? Do you think you've made the club successful?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the club in the 90s fell short a fair bit. Like they played in 2 grand finals and didn't win, and then it fell away. But from an environment point of view, I think Centrals has always been a community club. Like we're out here in the northern suburbs, we're a bit further away from everyone else. Bingo's our biggest money spinner. Like, think about that, right? Bingo is a really the hub of our community and our club. So they, from our point of view, the environment has always been really good. We just took probably the next level around the standards of what you train at and how to train. Like, we were running every Wednesday night. There was a conditioning block that was done regardless of win, loss, didn't matter what it was, or it was programmed in, and we just did it when others probably weren't doing it. You could argue that it wasn't fun, but then you could suggest that in September, October, when we were winning grand finals, the running was fun. So the environment was built on hard work and doing your best for the team. Yeah.
Is there, like, looking back on it now, is there something special about that group of boys that kept winning flags?
Probably the key group in any real premiership team, if you just go look at the teams that win the grand final in any footy, most of them, the leadership group would be 12 to 15 players. If you really dug down and said, he could be a leader, he could be a leader, he could be a leader, that's what we had. We just had, probably about 12 blokes who could go and toss the coin. And so it was really built on respect for each other, trust in each other, and you still have that now. Like, we don't see each other, well, actually it's a lie, we see each other every year because we have a reunion most years. So when we do see each other every year, it's like this real, it's not a bond based on winning, it's a bond based on trust and respect. Yeah.
Have you got a favourite premiership, or a favourite year?
Yeah, I think 2003 was my first one, so that was really good, but I didn't have I probably didn't feel like I led that way. I was only young. I think 2007, we lost 2006. Everyone potentially wrote us off and said it was, we'd sort of finished now. Central's had 5 years. So 2007, we worked harder than we ever had before, and then went on a 7, 8, 9, 10, 4-year streak. So 7 was pretty good. And 2010, I was the captain by myself after sharing it with Matthew Slade for a few years as co-captain, so that was pretty special as well.
Yeah. What is something that a successful footballer or person should be doing every day?
Yeah, that's a great question. After having been into the AFL when it was a bit part-timey, into coaching with Adelaide as a development coach for 5 years, I don't think you can't touch the footballs enough. Like, you can get a ball, you see basketballers, you go to Starplex over here, there's a basketballer always shooting, right? It's a bit difficult to do that with footy. Like, you can't just go and kick goals and the ball comes back to you, but you can find a rebound, a net, or get a mate and just touch the balls heaps, because the cleaner you are with your ball take, the more time you seem to have in making your decision. Regardless if you're fast or slow or big or small, your ability to control the ball and handle the ball is something that you can do daily. Yeah, and I just think the basketballers do it better than any. And I get it doesn't rain inside. There's always a hoop somewhere. But yeah, I think that's probably the one thing that they could do most of the time. And run. It's a running sport, right? So you should be really fit, as fit as you can be, to play a good level of footy.
For companies who lack the time, resources, or knowledge to fully take advantage of social media, Market Machine Co. strives to make it as simple as possible. More than 90% of businesses manage their social media internally, so they'll dig deep into your brand and finally take the management of your social channels off your hands. To contact, send them an email at marketmachineco@gmail.com. What do you think? Is there a conversation over your career with anyone that sticks out to you that was pretty valuable to you?
Yeah, obviously the under-17s coach who just gave me a bit of a pep talk, saying, I can see what you're trying to do and stick at it, we'll stick by you. That was probably a really significant one for me. I was lucky to have some mentors, I suppose, who just sort of said, good people make it. Like good people give themselves every opportunity to make it. Like rarely do bad characters have a really good career. So just know who you are and what you stand for, and then sort of just try and be that person regardless if you're winning, losing, if you're successful or not successful. So a couple of mentors who should have shared those things with me. Our coach, Roy Laird, before the 2007 Grand Final, I think it was, wrote a letter to every player. That letter was very individualistic. We got it the night before the Grand Final, and we got told just to read it, the next morning. But I reckon everyone sat in their car for the next 10 minutes reading their letter and read it over and over and over again. So that was a pretty significant motivational thing that was a bit about 80% about what you had done and about 20% of what it, I guess, to inspire and give you more aspiration for the future. So that was pretty powerful.
What would a whole day look like when you were in the prime of your career?
I was a school teacher, so I was just teaching PE. So I was touching the ball lots, playing volleyball, badminton, all those bits and pieces. But with the AFL boys, watching from afar as a coach with them, for them it's a lot about what they're doing when they're not touching the ball. So for them it's about what they're putting into their body, how they recover. Believe it or not, their sleep and things super important. I occasionally catch guys who are knackered and you speak to them and they've played a game of footy at night and then stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning online gaming because they just can't go to sleep because of the adrenaline of footy. So then they really need to make sure the Sunday and Monday that they really recover well. So I think the key things of what you're doing when you're not training for those people are for people trying to make it is probably as important as the training that you're actually doing. As a coach, the prime in my day I'd be just watching lots of football. Yeah.
What do you think just on that? It's sort of in that prime of your career, how much training were you doing? How much was that hitting your body?
Yeah, so for Centrals, I probably was training. We trained Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights. Tuesday morning I'd do a gym session, and Thursday morning do a gym session. Every Sunday morning would be a recovery. Sometimes it felt good to be a recovery run or a jog. An old teammate of mine when I first started thought it'd be really cool if he helped me get fit and we'd run up Uli Road every Sunday morning for like 25-30 minutes. So I was only 18 at the time, didn't think much of it, just thought that's what you do, right? So I just kept doing that for my career, and sometimes it was a bit more of a walk as I got older, but always recovery on a Sunday.
What do you think your, like on a Friday night before a game, what do you think your preparation would be like?
Yeah, it's strange. Some people like really routine and some don't really have one. I had teammates who used to have schnitzel and we'd go to Faster Pasta, a whole group of us, and some of them would have schnitzels and chips. James and Chris would just eat schnitzel and chips or steak burger or whatever, but I was a bit more methodical in my process and went the old wives' tales of pasta is best and heaps of water, maybe a few little sneaky chips and garlic bread here and there, but I was probably more of a routine person, and I was always one to make sure I had enough chocolate and lollies as well to get me through the Friday night footy.
What do you think now makes you a good coach?
I think care is the word that I have probably at the top of my thought process in coaching. And that's not necessarily not giving someone strong critical feedback, like that's caring about them, because if you want to get better you need to know what you're doing well and also what you're not doing well, and that's, for me, that's care. Like that's being able to influence someone to make themselves that little bit better. So care's mine. I know people talk about relationships, that's the buzzword around leadership and coaching, but I feel care covers relationships, because you can build a relationship off care, and without it, I've seen some coaches and players and leaders amongst footy say they want to build relationships but do it without any care. So that's probably the key one for me.
What do you think the biggest spray you had from a coach was, and what was it for?
I don't ever remember getting a spray as such. I do remember I was reported for a head clash, and got a reprimand. And then a month later I was reported again for striking, but it was an innocuous, like trying to shake a tagger, and he tripped on my foot, no word of a lie. He tripped on my foot and I belted him straight across the nose as he tripped over. So I got 2 games. We lost by 70 points the week later at Eagles, and after the game the coach, Roy, was talking to the players, and you could see he was frustrated, and he just asked, where's Paul Thomas? And I was standing there like my club outfit, like I hadn't played. He's like, and mate, if you're going to get reported, this is one of the costs. And I was like, wow, that's like, he thinks I'm a 70+ point player. Like, I was kind of pumped with myself, and I realised he was actually giving me a bit of a whack and a bit of a spray for, not making sure that we had the best team available for that day and someone to help play a certain role. So that was probably the one that sticks out. Yeah.
And what does the future look like for you?
I had this conversation the other day with a mentor of mine. I certainly feel I've got something to offer the AFL in a coaching regard through just knowledge of the game and care for people and for wanting to get better. I learned a lot as in my time as a development coach. So Don Pike was the coach at Adelaide, Scott Camperelli was the midfield coach, James Podsadley was the backs coach, David Teague was there, he's now coached his own club. So I learned a lot from really good football minds. Tate Casler, who works with Stuart Jews at the Gold Coast, Heath Uni and David Noble at North Melbourne. So I've learned a lot from people who are in the industry, and I still feel there's sort of an untapped resource where I can help people. If that's to be, again, there's only X amount of those jobs in Australia. I'm quite content working with Centrals and trying to help us improve where we've been for the last couple of years.
Yeah, cool. So that's all we got time for today. Thanks, mate, for coming on the show.
No drama.
That's been Road to the Big Time.